coming to you as always from the inside of my motorhome. And right, so who watched the coronation today? Well, one of them who didn't watch was me. In fact, I was actually unaware of the date it was going to happen on. I thought it was going to happen a bit later. In fact, had I known that it was going to happen today, I would have done this chat earlier in the week. And yesterday, when I realized it was going to happen the following day, I thought, well, perhaps I ought to do it the chat this evening and not my Hermann Goering video. But in the end, I thought I've already announced the Hermann Goering video to be on now. So then I let the Hermann Goering video go. Now, I had a look at the results of the little survey which I put up on two sites. Are you going to watch the coronation? Yes or no? And it was roughly 25-75, roughly. So 1/4 of people who watch this channel and the other one said that they would be, hello Colin, that they would be watching. It needs, of course, to be pointed out that this is not a very fair sample, because the people who watch this channel, 3/4 are over 45 and 2/3 are over 55. So it's not a fair look at a demographic. I would say, in my opinion, however, I think this is, and this may come as a surprise, because as a sort of a liberal-minded, progressive person who may be more less conservative, that I am not, I'm certainly not a Republican. I'm not a monarchist either, but I actually think that the monarchy is a good thing for a number of reasons. As a teenager, I was a Republican, and in those days, it was, in fact, I was probably the only one in the entire country. But now I've sort of changed my mind. And as for those who said it's a complete and utter waste of money, I actually also have an answer to that one. In fact, I'm going to answer that one immediately, the waste of money. I don't know how much this coronation cost, but I do know it wasn't free, and it would cost a fair whack of cash. But what I think is good about it is the following. Obviously, it's the taxpayer that actually funds it, but it also needs to be pointed out that the income which comes as a result of it. Now, I wouldn't put it past the current government in the United Kingdom if they were actually selling seats to be at Westminster Abbey. And actually, quite come to think of it, I don't think it would bother me if the money were going into the public purse, but and not into private hands. But the real source of income, which is the following. And 200 million quid. Okay, right. So that's a fair whack of cash. What would have to say, if it is 200 million, I'll use that as the base point then. So if it's 200 million, let's say that a billions worth of goods was sold as a result of it, and that the value added tax on that, just on that part, not including other taxation, would actually pay for it. But so in fact, it wouldn't even have to be that much, because there would be other things. Now, because I'm suggesting there's two sources of income. There's all the people who spend extra money to see it. So people that were sitting at home watching it on the television, and I know that at least my brother-in-law got a fridge full of beer stacked up, and my sister bought a flag, and she put flags on the houses. In fact, I didn't understand why, because she put it on her Facebook. There's we're ready for the big day, and I thought, what is it? The FA Cup? That was all I was through my mind. Is FA Cup? It's Newcastle playing in the FA Cup final. That is what I thought. And so if we take all of that cash, and that's the number one source that comes into my mind, people stacking them. The second thing is all the people who actually go there. So the tourist business which would come in to see it. So I think that these are two things. There's also the indirectly form, and that's the feel-good factor. And with things like this do make people actually feel very good. Now, I didn't watch it. I don't know anything what happened there. I know nothing about anything else. But had I been in London, I certainly would have gone up to town to see what was going on. I went to three big royal events. I went to the marriage of Diana and Charles, which is the avatar I used for this. It was a photograph I took from the southern end of Waterloo Bridge on the 29th of July. I think it was 29th of July, so it was a Wednesday, 29th of July 1981. I went to the following Fergie and who was that? Andrew. I went to their wedding, and in 1986. That one wasn't so good, though. I was expecting a repeat performance of the previous one. And I also went to the one that was 12 years ago. Kate and, I can't remember his name, William and Harry. I suppose William, isn't it? Anyway. I know that I don't know the king's kids. And I was just thinking today that I don't know the names. I don't know the names of the children. Isn't this ironic? Because I can tell you the names of the children of Henry II and of Aquitaine in the 12th century, but I can't tell you what's happening today. So that's a sort of a typical historian's actual problem. So with those things together, I think this coronation is a good thing. But one thing I have noticed is that when there's so many people, I think, who are, and polls are showing that in the United Kingdom people are going away from the monarchy. And for example, I can recall in February 1983 there was a program, must have been on Radio 1, because that was the only thing I'd have listened to then, about somebody said something bad about the Queen, and is the Queen sacrosanct? Can you say bad things about the Queen, yes or no? Indeed, when the Sex Pistols put out their song God Save the Queen, your fascist regime made you a moron, potential H-bomb, in 1977, that was actually banned on the BBC, and it got to #1 in the charts, but the EMI wouldn't hang on to it, and so it went through Virgin Records, which was a bit of a rebel type of a record label. So it was so these things all together, the Queen was sort of sacrosanct, whereas now it seems it's like there's been people I've noticed on ringing up radio shows and things like this that are actually opposed to it. And the question is how much longer will it actually go on? Now, as a historian, I've got to say this is, where does this royal family come from, and the idea of aristocracy and all the rest of it? It comes from the robber barons, the thieves, the people in charge of doing dreadful things to the locals, the strong bosses, the mafia clans, if you like. So words to this effect: these are the people who seized the land from others. So I mean, kings exist in queens, even in some in just about every human environment. There's some chief or whatever, and the fact that some people are big landowners, this goes back hundreds of years in the past, when this land was actually stolen or taken by force from others. Indeed, in the United Kingdom, the amount of land which is actually held by big landowners is amongst the highest in the world. At the time of the Russian Revolution, you think, oh, in Russia, this was a country where the big landowners owned everything. And it wasn't actually the case. The major landowners in the Russian Empire didn't own all the land. But in the United Kingdom, it was something like the big landowners had something like 98%, I can't remember the exact figure now, of all the land. Of course, land ownership was never really a problem in the United Kingdom, as it was, for example, in Russia, or maybe in Spain or other countries. Anyway, so as I see it, the royal family, I think, will outlast me, but it may not outlast people who are going to school at the moment. I believe there will be 2 coronations in my lifetime. So this is the first one, and the second one is yet to come. But in my mother's lifetime, there will be, well, I think this is probably the last one in her case, 5, sorry, no, wrong one, 3 coronations. And so this is the third one. There was Elizabeth, and there was George in 1937. And Edward VIII, of course, was never crowned, so he didn't get a coronation. And she was born after George V was actually crowned. And yeah, so colonize the Duchy of Lancaster holds an surprising amount of land in the United Kingdom. Indeed, it does. And this is seen, the Duchy of Lancaster is the private land of King Charles. Yeah, he is king now, isn't he? And so the money that comes from this, which goes into him personally and not into the public purse. Now, when I said I believe in the royal family, I think it's a good thing. It doesn't mean to say I'm a monarchist, or does it? I don't know. It's not the case. I think it's great that there is a head of a country who's supposedly above politics. Now, many countries have tried this. Most notably, the Constitution of France. De Gaulle had this vision of having a president who was above it all, but I mean, it's never happened anywhere. The president has always been part of the political scene. I'd have to say, in my opinion, I think the Queen did a fantastic job of staying neutral. Charles himself was pretty controversial in the 1980s with some of his ideas on architecture. For example, he didn't like high-rise buildings because it spoilt the skyline. Well, yeah, that's one way I would see it completely different. As a person, high-rise buildings mean to say that people don't have to travel so much to work and thus damage the environment. And more the point is that a person who can walk to work is far more efficient than somebody who has to spend an hour and a half on the train getting to work, and the same again trying to get back. But anyway, that's just my opinion. This is planning regulations are in fact one of my pet peeves. Good. So I think I've said I think, but what do other people think? Will the royal family continue to last? It was the royal family that got me into history in the first place. It was when my grandmother bought me the book of Ladybird, Book of Kings and Queens. I can still recite the dates of every single monarch from the top of my head over the past 1,000 years. And so I'm really full of absolutely useless information of this nature. Of course, it is my specialized area is in 20th century stuff, largely related to Nazi Germany. So anyway, thanks very much for listening. Do put your comments below if you agree or you don't agree, by the way, because that is something which is, and I have tried to justify my economic argument and why I'm in favor of it. I hope but maybe if somebody else can unjustify it or got other opinions, that would be great. But for the moment, thanks and all the best from me. And the royal family's taken says Colin, the royal family's taken a bit of a knock since the Queen died. I haven't really been following, but I think it's this, what's his name, the book called Spare, which I haven't read, and I don't know anything about it. Was it the dispute between the second son and Meghan, his wife, and see, I just don't follow it. I don't know. Thanks. All the best from me in Poland. Bye for now.